Climate activist Sonam Wangchuk, the Ladakh Member of Parliament Haji Hanifa, along with 120 activists from Ladakh were detained at the Singhu Border last night in line with the prohibitory orders imposed by in the national capital till 6th of October. Wangchuk was leading the Delhi Chalo Padyatra, which began from Ladakh. Now, the march was organized by the Leh apex body, which along with Kargil Democratic Alliance are jointly spearheading an agitation over the past 4 years for a 4-point agenda: granting statehood to Ladakh, extension of the constitution's 6th schedule, early recruitment process along with the Public Service Commission for Ladakh, and separate Lok Sabha seats for the Leh and Kargil districts. The question arises is, how feasible are these demands of the people of Ladakh that can be fulfilled by the government of India? How can India ensure that the border security is maintained in wake of the Chinese threat along the line of actual control, while at the same time ensuring that the rights of the people of Ladakh are not taken away from them? Let's start our conversation. On the telecast with me is Sajjad Kargili. He is an activist. He was detained along with Sonam Wangchuk as the 120 activists marched their way into the Delhi borders but were stopped by the Delhi police. Let's start our conversation. Sajjad, how do you view the situation right now on the ground?
This is Meghnaji. First of all, thank you. This is very unfortunate thing that we, the people of Ladakhis are very peaceful and very patriotic people. In the history of India, after the independence, this is the first time we are coming from Ladakh to Delhi to express our, to convey our message to the government and the people of India. We are not the enemies of the government. We are not enemies of the country. But the government is treating us like the traitors, not the people of this country, not the citizens of this country. Our people have been detained yesterday. Hundreds of people have been detained yesterday. They are still in different places. They have taken different places and now they are detained and they are on hunger strike. Sonam Wangchuk ji is on hunger strike. Chief Minister of Delhi, she went there to meet him, but she was not allowed to meet. Our Honorable Member of Parliament and also the Chief Executive Councillor, Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council, Kargil, along with the councillors, the elected representatives of Ladakh, all have been detained. The government has totally failed to understand Ladakh, understand the grievances of Ladakh. They have failed to provide a single gazetted job for Ladakhis for past 5 years. They have failed to provide the Public Service Commission to Ladakh. What they are doing except speeches and lectures to the people and misleading to the people of India about Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir. Today we are the most disempowered people in Ladakh, in the country. We have no land rights. Unemployment is on peak. We don't have any democratic right. Even the government has now snatched our right to express, right to freedom of expression and right to protest. We were coming. We were not holding any banner, any slogan. We were just coming, and our plan was to go to Majnu Ka Tela, and then our plan was to go to Rajghat to express our resentment and also to pay tribute to the Mahatma Gandhi, father of this nation.
Okay, all right. Let me also get in Major General J.K.S. Parakar before I get in the political commentators on the telecast with me. Major General Parakar, in a situation such as this, where the BJP, while it was campaigning during the Lok Sabha elections in 2019, had promised that statehood would be given to Ladakh, and in wake of the developments along the line of actual control, it has been 4 years now, 5 years now. How feasible does it become for these demands to be met in wake of the very obvious threat that we witness along the line of actual control from the PLA?
Thank you, Megha. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the people of Ladakh. During my service, I have walked into the eastern part of Ladakh, so many areas, and in the ops of Bhavna camps. They are the beautiful, the best people, very docile and cool and composed. Sajjad bhai, don't get upset. You are the part of the India, and I had mentioned earlier also कि लद्दाख हमारी नाक है, कश्मीर पूरा हमारा मस्तक है, कन्याकुमारी तो लद्दाख हमारी नाक है, भारत की
Thank
शान
you.
है. और we are with you, and I don't find any reason to say no to any of these demands. Absolutely correct. And since this Article 6 is a little tricky as per the legality is concerned, I am not a legal expert, but it was intended with the Article 371 for the Northeast. But probably that time the J&K constitution was different, and the Ladakhis, they had some kind of a protection. Ladakh is it looks like a huge area, but frankly speaking, these all are mountains and very limited area for the habitation and for the cultivation. With just the valleys of the river side, 100, 200 yards in the Karu and all those areas, Kyari, Karu, Jomai, I have seen all those areas. So I know that preservation of these resources is most important. Culture of the Ladakh has to be protected. The Leh is becoming too congested, and the people, it is a justified demand that such a small scale land and resources has been maybe captured by the business houses and all for the favor. It is absolutely valid demand. So far the government is concerned, after abrogation of 370, they have done a lot for the Ladakh for developing infrastructure. I had given a roadmap, and though nobody had responded to that acknowledged, but I find that most of the things what I have mentioned and represented to the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, almost everything has been included. Healthcare system, infrastructures, universities, road development, multiple districts, it is all has that. So we have to include these Ladakhi status as per at par with the Northeast. We have to preserve the tribal culture, their land, their language, and their identity. And most important for the security as the armed forces personnel, I would say that the Indian armed forces have done best in the Ladakh and Kashmir. It was because of the local support. Whether it was the Chushul in the Rizangla fight, it was identified by the local people. In the Kargil also, it was the local people. So they are very small places. Now, demand of the two Lok Sabha seats are not a big demand. It should be fulfilled because the area is too vast, and small villages are there.
Okay.
If you have a full state, just 30 seconds,
Yeah.
if you have a full statehood, then you have a one Rajya Sabha seat. These people are not having local assembly, they are not having representation in Rajya Sabha. So we have to enforce all these things, because for the security reasons and for such a peaceful area is becoming violent, the anti-nationals may enter into it. It's very, very important for the country to accept each and every demand. It is a legitimate demand, nothing unusual in it.
Okay, all right. Very important, significant points made. Sumit, I would like to have you get into the conversation about why has it taken the government this long to even take any action on the 4 demands that are being sought by the people of Ladakh.
Megha ji, thank you very much for having me on your show. There are a couple of things which we might put in perspective. First and the most important thing is Ladakh is as patriotic. Ladakhis are as patriotic like you and me. There's no difference between Ladakh and us. Let's break this glass wall. There was a difference between when 370 and 35A was there. Now it is gone. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is, look, nobody is discussing the legitimacy of the demands and all, but there's a time for everything to happen. The time, and when did the government of India say no, we will not accept 1, 2, 3 or 4 of these demands? They said okay, we're looking into it. As far as the statehood is concerned, even that will be restored. When the government said we'll conduct elections in J&K, I think a lot of people on the TV news used to come and say, now the elections got conducted. So you have to give government and time for get the things in place. Now, as far as the detention of Delhi is concerned, look, you cannot come with thousands of people to Delhi. Look, it takes a few hundred people to block the borders. You cannot come with thousands of people to Delhi and say it's a peaceful protest. It's not about how many. Did you have the permission to enter Delhi? Did you get a permission for this? No. If let's say 5 people in a car come and they give their gyapan or they give their memorandum, nobody is going to stop you. But if you are marching hundreds of people, thousands of people into the Delhi, so how do we know how it can turn out to be? It can even turn out to be violent. So in the interest of the security and interest to stop this practice and not to make it a routine, that if I can mobilize a few thousand people, let me do the Gherao of Delhi. So what this preventive detention is done. So as Mr. Wangchuk and others don't know that there is 144 which is in place. place. So you should know when 144 is in place, there are certain rights which you, me and anybody on this panel have. There is nothing special which was done to Mr. Wangchuk. If I try to mobilize 100 people tomorrow into Delhi, I'll meet the same treatment of Mr. Wangchuk. So where is this disparity and where is this no privilege coming in? Now, protest is okay. You take a permission, you do the protest, fair enough, no problem. Protest doesn't mean, Meghnaji, I will mobilize thousands of people. Protest doesn't mean I'll block roads. Then tomorrow you will have protests against the Waqf land. You will have protests pro-Waqf land.
Okay.
For Kisan protests, we have seen so many kind and types of protests. It is not about mobilizing people. Protest is fine, but you take a permission, a small, okay, for giving a gyapan or a memorandum. Why do I need to mobilize thousands of people? Five of us can go and hand over the memorandum and do a press conference. Still, my message will be heard.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. But the larger issue over here is not about why the protesters were detained and the protesters were detained. The question about here is the rights of the people of Ladakh that are being represented by Sonam Wangchuk and the Ladakh Member of Parliament, and why has it taken the government this long to actually act on those promises that were made by them in 2019. I also have with me Sujata Paul. She is from the Congress. And Sujata, let's hear it from you of what is the opinion of Congress in the development that has taken place. And so far, why hasn't the Congress come out and spoken on behalf of Ladakhis?
In the land of Mahatma Gandhi, oh Bapu, can you see 150 odd satyagrahis having marched 1,000 kilometers from Leh to Ladakh? These satyagrahis were not allowed to go to Rajghat to pay obeisance to you, because for the last 3 years they have been fighting for their rights in the most peaceful manner, because everybody admits right here on this panel that they are the most peaceful people of this country. And yet they were stopped, and just before Sonam Wangchuk and his group of people who have marched across the most toughest of terrains, across Taglang La, which is at 17,000 feet above sea level, and you are saying that they have to be stopped because there are thousands of them coming. Well, why is it that this prohibitory order came in late yesterday? Why? Because you were scared of talking, Prime Minister Modi. And as far as the Congress party is concerned, Rahul Gandhi, my leader, has already put up a post on X where he has clearly said that this detention of the Ladakhi people is unacceptable. Rahul Gandhi has also said that the Prime Minister needs to listen to Ladakh's voice, because they are marching peacefully for environmental and constitutional rights.
Okay, and then I'll pose this question to you, Sujata. What would the Congress do differently if it were in power?
The Congress party has already said that we are going to restore statehood to Ladakh. The least the Prime Minister could have done is talk to the people who are coming to Delhi. Why have they been stopped at Delhi? That is something that the Congress party has never done in the past, will never do. And if you also mentioned about the Member of Parliament who was also detained, Mr. Haji Hanifa Jan. So when we are talking about him, that clearly he and we are all on the same side, aren't we? So the Congress party would definitely talk to anybody who has any demands and wants statehood to be restored to the people of Ladakh. We also want that, yes, like Mr. Parihar just mentioned, that the culture of the Ladakhi people is very, very important for us, and that needs to be preserved. Years ago, I had a student who was from Ladakh and who was adopted by a French couple, and her pictures really kind of rent our hearts when we saw her walking on snow for miles in those times to cross it during winters. And we understood the hardships of the Ladakhi people. And somebody who's been fighting for the climate, for climate change, he was stopped, and if you remember, The internet was also, disrupted on that particular day when he wanted to go to the border and show the rest of the country what the situation is at the Indo-China border.
But
So
you
this
also think
government-
they also think there is sensitivity that needs to be taken
Yeah,
into
can I come in?
consideration, and a place like Ladakh, where you at this point of time are wanting to take forth and bring your agitation to the line of actual control. Again, like I said, there are these PLA armed forces, the troops that can at this point of time try to take advantage of the situation, and it works both ways. Coming back to you,
look at it now.
Sajjad Kargili. Now, the demands have been put forth by you. What do you hope from the government of India since the time your protest started 4 years ago?
Look, madam, we believe in dialogue. We know that only through dialogue the issues can be resolved. That's why we formed Kargil Democratic Alliance and Leh Apex Body. The government itself has promised that they will give us a public service commission, or either they will merge with the Jammu and Kashmir Public Service Commission, because we have already similar court for both Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, Jammu Kashmir Ladakh High Court. Similarly, they have also talked about the unemployment issues, and we have discussed various issues. But in principle, they have agreed during the meeting. But still, government has not moved 1 inch ahead for their own, words they have given to us. Today, the people of Ladakh, the youths of Ladakh are frustrated because government has not even a single one, only one gazetted job for the youth of Ladakh, youth from Ladakh. So there is no public service commission. There is no job. Government has failed to provide jobs. We cannot only eat budget, that you are only saying that we are building roads and all these things. Where is jobs?
Okay.
Our
Okay,
youths
all
are
right.
getting
Infrastructure is
frustrated.
done
We
for
don't
security
have any
purposes and the
safeguard.
development of Ladakh, but what do the youth of Ladakh eat when they don't have jobs, when they can't earn their living? Coming back to you, Major General JKS Parehar, a dicey situation, dicey situation over here.
Applied for the permission for protest in Delhi. We have also, given options to the government, because we wanted to go to Rajghat or either at Jantar Mantar.
Okay.
The police has cancelled our permission. First they have given us permission and then later they cancelled. But we were coming, walking with a Path Yatra. Hundreds of people were there, and we were very, very calm, very silent. But today they have taken this advantage and they have taken us in different
Okay, all
places.
right, yes, understandable, and you've put forth your point of view. Major General Parehar, then the question arises, why is Government of India shying away from fulfilling those promises and giving in to the demands of the Ladakhis?
I don't think the government is shying away from the fulfilling the demand. If the talks are going on, definitely certain issues are always there. There is a apprehension from the government side. But I would say that Mr. Sonam Wangchuk's this Padyatra with 150 people, whether it has been stopped at Singhu Border also, it has fulfilled its target and achieved this, because now the entire country is talking about it. You are also talking about it. The matter is now in the public domain with the much more thrust, and I think it should come. Government probably, other than Article 6, giving them power at par with the northeast tribal areas, rest all they are going to accept. But I strongly feel that now it is time that we have to extend best of the preservations of their culture and land rights, etc., to the Ladakhis people. This is, and I am sure good sense will prevail upon, and government will do something better in coming.
Okay. So, Sumit, again coming back to you now, if 4 years have elapsed, how much longer do the Ladakhis wait for these demands to be fulfilled?
Look, Megha ji, there are 2-3 aspects of it. First of all, Ladakh is a very sensitive area, and I have all the respect for Mr. Wangchuk and his Democratic Alliance, Kargil Democratic Alliance. But the challenge is that whatever you do in Ladakh, it has to be carefully calibrated. The government of India said will conduct elections in J&K. It was conducted, right, in a due course of time. But if I wanted to, मैं कल आ रहा हूँ दिल्ली, कल करा दो शाम को, वो तो नहीं होगा ना. They will do it at the right point of time. Second thing is, when we are talking of development of Ladakh, whenever there's a development, there will be something which will change. Wherever your studio was, I think 20 years back, there must be a khed there. And wherever I am living right now, 15 years back, there was a khed there. I know for 100% for sure. So whenever the development happens, there is something which gets disrupted. When you are creating jobs, when you are creating infrastructure projects, who are the contractors? Where is the labor coming from? Where is the hotel coming from? Where is the transport coming from? Where is the taxi coming from? Don't you have maximum number of flights going to Ladakh? Don't you have maximum number of tourists going to Ladakh? So when you do development, there will be something which will change. The holistic picture will change. At the same point of time, we have to also balance our risks vis-a-vis China and Ladakh. We have to build the infrastructure in Ladakh. We have to keep on. We have a great respect for tribal culture and all, but at the same time, we cannot leave the security of the Ladakh to the mercy of PLA. The slicing of China is not happening. And on answering another aspect of it, let the people of Ladakh wait. Has anybody denied? If the government of India says, "Bhai, nahi ho raha," then you have all the right to cause all the ruckus. When they are saying we are talking, we are discussing, but Mr. Wangchuk cannot determine the date and time. If the government says we are not going to do it, then you have all the right to come and do whatever you want to do. And for giving a memorandum and all, you can come in a group of 5. Why do you need to march thousands of people? When the permission was cancelled, what is the reason of still marching to Delhi?
Okay, all right. So, Sujata, bringing you also into the conversation here about, and particularly, how do you view the security of our borders along the line of actual control? In view of the demand, that particular demand of making Ladakh into an autonomous body, do you think these two matters could clash, and there has to be more sensitivity that needs to be brought into mind when looking at these demands, particularly when we talk about giving statehood, but more importantly being tagged as an autonomous region?
Before I come to that, कल आ रहा हूँ नहीं कहा था किसी ने भी. This has been happening for a long time, and they've been marching. They marched 1,000 kilometers. And I must correct Mr. Sumit Peer when he speaks about Jammu Kashmir elections. Well, it is because of the Supreme Court that the elections are being held. Now coming to Ladakh, if we are talking about autonomous status be granted to Ladakh, whether that will happen or not can only be determined when democratic processes are in place. So if people have been having, and they've had many rounds of talks with the government, why is it that the new government of 4th June 2024 is not willing to talk to them? That is the point here. And if you talk about what the concerns are, whether statehood for Ladakh is going to clash with the sensitivity of the border issue, is inclusion in the 6th schedule going to affect it? They should be discussed. Both these things should be discussed with the government.
What is the Congress's stand on this? What is the Congress party stand on this?
I'm coming to that. See, when you're talking about the Ladakhi issue, before I talk about the Congress party stand, it is very clear that they are also talking about, they've got 4 demands. So in those 4 demands, they're also talking about the early recruitment process along with the Public Service Commission for Ladakh. Has that been spoken about? Is that, an uncalled for demand? When they're talking about Lok Sabha seats and 2 extra Lok Sabha seats, is that not something that should be discussed? That can't be done right now, right away, but it should be discussed. If elections are to be held in Ladakh in the coming times, should this not be discussed? Should they not be given their own government? Should they not have the power like any other state in the country where democracy is established and they can run their own state?
Fair enough. But the same question again, how does the Congress view a situation as sensitive as line of actual control about giving the status of autonomous region in the 6th schedule and also providing full statehood? Does this also perhaps undermine the border security, and how should we move forward? How do you think Congress would move forward?
Look, as far as the Congress is concerned, like I said, we will always talk to people, we will always consider everything, and in a democratic situation, everything has to be on the table and people have to be taken in confidence. But the most important thing is whether the statehood is going to be restored, whether their people are going to get their jobs, whether anybody is going to listen to them.
Okay, Sumit, quickly 30 seconds before I wrap this up.
Yeah, I want to only make, yes, I believe what Congress is saying after imposing emergency and dismissing 83 state governments. Every word of Sujata ji holds right. That is what the history of Congress has been. कहते हैं ना हिंदी में ये
There's no connection.
Okay,
No
let's
connection.
not go back in history and bring all those points. You have a Congress which has a new leader, which has a new president, okay, all right. I mean, there was no reason to bring that point up. It makes more difference whatsoever in how the Congress operates now versus how it operated decades ago. All right, on that note, I slip into a short break. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.